Welcome back to our channel, where we update the hottest, most thrilling and dramatic episodes of the hit TV series Beyond the Gates. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any developments in the power struggle, the shocking secrets and the shocking family tragedy of this fascinating series. Right after this, we will bring you one of the most shocking events that just happened, when the simmering feud between Dani and Leslie finally exploded into an unexpected tragedy, leaving aftershocks for the entire Dupree family and dragging along a series of horrifying consequences behind. It all started with the conflicts that lasted for months between Dani and Leslie. Two women who seemed to only compete with each other in terms of status, love and ambition. But in fact, behind that were accumulated hatreds, unforgivable secrets, and hidden struggles that had never been completely resolved. Dani was always a thorn in Leslie's side, because she not only possessed a certain influence in the Dupree family but also had the ability to threaten Leslie's position at any time. On the contrary, Leslie, with her scheming, calculating and cruel nature, never hid her intention to eliminate Dani from all power calculations. The previous clashes only stopped at hateful looks, sarcastic words, or indirect tricks to defame and belittle the other party. But the tension gradually accumulated like a powder keg waiting to explode. And that day finally came, when Leslie could no longer hold back, and Dani could no longer be calm enough to endure any longer. Everything was pushed to a climax that afternoon, when Leslie took the initiative to enter Dani's private room on the second floor of the villa, carrying a provocative attitude and a familiar challenging gaze. Dani, who was standing on the balcony, did not show any surprise at the appearance of the other party, because she knew very well that Leslie had definitely not come here to talk and reconcile. The atmosphere became thick. Tension covered the entire luxurious room, but now it seemed that there was no warmth left. The two women faced each other, their cold gazes like invisible knives stabbing straight at each other. No need for words, just actions were enough to make things get out of control. Leslie suddenly rushed forward, slapping Dani hard in the face, causing her to stagger backwards. But Dani was not someone who was easily subdued. Her instinct to fight back rose. She immediately responded with a push, causing the two to entangle in an unprecedentedly fierce struggle. The originally quiet room now echoed with screams. The sound of broken furniture, tables, chairs, vases, and picture frames were thrown into chaos one after another. The two bodies entangled, struggling fiercely, arms waving non-stop, fingernails scratching and leaving long scratches on the skin. Hair disheveled, faces distorted with anger, both of them no longer had any composure. All that remained was the survival instinct and the hatred that had been accumulated for so long. The struggle continued in a suffocating chaos, each push, each choke, each hair pull carried extreme hostility, as if just one mistake, one moment of losing control, tragedy would immediately strike. And that tragedy really happened when Dani was pushed hard towards the balcony by Leslie. The railing that was only waist-high now became the fragile boundary between life and death. Dani tried to keep her balance, but the panic, combined with the passive position after minutes of intense struggle, made her slip. Leslie had no intention of stopping, her eyes were red with anger. Step by step approaching, forcing Dani back towards the edge of the balcony. The final struggle took place right there, hands clasped together, gasps, scratches crisscrossing both bodies as evidence of the fierce battle. It all happened in a split second, but the consequences were unimaginable. Dani completely lost her balance, her body swayed, then fell off the railing, plummeting straight down to the stone-paved yard below from a terrifying height. The sudden fall left everyone in a state of shock. Without a scream, without any rescue, Dani's body landed with a dry crash. Blood immediately spread across the cold stone floor. Leslie stood on the balcony, her face pale, her eyes wide open, unable to hide her panic. While the people below screamed, the scene of chaos enveloped the entire villa. Immediately, servants, guards and family members rushed over. Dani lay motionless, her body bruised. Blood soaked the floor. The sound of ambulance sirens, the sound of police sirens rang out. Everything seemed to fall into a nightmare with no way out. Leslie still stood there, her hands trembling, her mind blank, knowing clearly that the tragedy that had just happened would have terrible consequences. The bad news quickly spread everywhere. The media immediately turned to the villa. Newspapers simultaneously ran shocking headlines, exposing the feud between Dani and Leslie, speculating about the cause of the tragedy, stirring up a wave of public outrage. In the hospital, the medical team tried to save Dani's life, but her condition was extremely critical. Multiple injuries, cerebral hemorrhage, the risk of death was always near. The Dupree family was in crisis. Surrounded by the media, public opinion was boiling. All turned to Leslie with suspicious and condemning eyes. Leslie tried to keep a calm appearance, but deep inside was extreme fear. Knowing that if Dani woke up, the truth about the fight would be exposed, and she would hardly escape punishment. Each day passed in extreme tension. Dani was still in a deep coma. The possibility of recovery was a big question mark. Investigations were conducted, the police collected evidence, took witness statements, while the Dupree family was seriously divided. Underground forces began to appear. Old enemies took advantage of the tragedy to calculate, increasing pressure on Leslie. Leslie herself also fell into a state of panic. Nightmares about Dani's fall, about the blood on the yard, about Dani's eyes before falling constantly haunted her. And then, the news that Dani had overcome the critical condition but suffered severe neurological damage made things even more chaotic. Doctors announced that the possibility of Dani recovering completely was very low, but they did not rule out the possibility that she would wake up and expose the truth. Leslie was sitting on a bed of fire, fearing every minute and every hour. Every plan, every trick that had been built was at risk of collapsing in an instant. The Dupree family was on the verge of breaking up. Secrets, conflicts, hidden enemies were revealed one after another, all pushing the power struggle to a climax. From an impulsive fight, Dani and Leslie accidentally ignited a series of tragedies, pushing the Dupree family into a spiral of hatred, revenge, and collapse. Who will really pay the price? Will Dani be able to wake up and expose Leslie? Or will everything continue to be buried in the darkness of cruel plots? Everything is still a big question mark, promising the next developments to be more dramatic, breathtaking, and unpredictable than ever. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel to continue updating the most thrilling episodes of Beyond the Gates, where tragedy, power, and hatred never end.